And we are live. This is the first time in history of my Friday office hours. I started exactly at 10 o'clock. I'm very proud of myself. I am going to give everybody a chance to come on in. I also want to test the audio because I've learned my lesson while everybody's filing in. Let's see how we're doing. Still waiting to see it come up on the YouTube. Hoping for the best. Come on, YouTube, you can do it. I think we're going. Let's see. Come on, YouTube, you can do it. All right, it's awesome. It's working. Good morning to everybody who's going to be filing in. I see about 3 or 4 of you guys in here now. Good morning. Say hi if you'd like. Today, I got to be honest. I'm always honest. I have to be frank with everybody. This has been a remarkably exciting and productive month, not only in the world of WP Launchify and my consulting business, but in general, just with regard to all the innovations, all the things that have been coming up. So I have been like a kid in a proverbial candy store doing all kinds of cool stuff. And I even yesterday sent out 2 emails. Good morning, Sharon. I sent out 2 emails regarding some of the things. I ended up spending, a couple hours before I went to bed last night working on the new idea, which is how to use AI and some of the tools that I use, including Fathom, to create what I'm going to call a dynamic documentation with the ability for me to actually be an AI voice to read it. And I'm going to talk more about that at the end, because today I want to focus and be very specific on my 5 top WooCommerce setup tips that have to do with everybody using LaunchKit. But I just want to give you a sneak peek that I am super, super duper excited about how the use of these new AI tools will allow any of us who want to be basically in a relationship business with our clients, delivering the kind of concierge experience that I hopefully deliver to you, to do it more efficiently. So I spent yesterday, part of the day, I took an hour-and-a-half bike ride with a buddy of mine, went to the beach. I did my 10,000 steps. I made a great lunch. I talked to my family. I did all kinds of other stuff, had a dinner and a beer with my son out in the yard. I did all this great stuff because what I was able to do is during the time I was working, it was in the stuff that made the most difference. And I think that's the takeaway here. As a Gen Xer, I can convey to many of you similarly situated people a way to use the tools and the technology in the Jetsons cartoon way that we all dreamed of when we were kids. That is to say, to bring more leisure and important human things to your life rather than them competing with you or making you feel threatened. All right. Today, the reason I want to start out with this WooCommerce thing is that one of the foundational things about what I've been doing for the last 20 years is to take this really unlimited stack of flea market parts and curate them down into a very small set. And one of the most important, if not the most important tools is WooCommerce. And almost everybody that I've spoken to in my personal consultation calls has some preconceived notion of what WooCommerce is or was or does or why they should or shouldn't use it and so forth. Thankfully, many more people are waking up to the idea that using WooCommerce as the foundation for what I'm going to call the transactional engine of your business will allow you to get a free ride on a couple key things. Number one, let me use the version of this that is smaller. I'm going to use this version of it. There we go. Number one is that WooCommerce is the most well-known, well-loved, well-used plugin for transactional engine purposes in the entire WordPress ecosystem. With so many people using it and developing it and making things that connect to it, it's like your Velcro dartboard. Everything you use can stick to it, which gives you an unlimited number of choices. Even though I'm helping you figure out not to use everything, it's nice to know that there's almost nothing in the world that won't work with it. Number two, because it has so many eyeballs and so much attention, it's got the highest level of security, the highest level of improvements, the highest level of scrutiny of everything going on. And isn't that really what you want in your transactional engine, right? Like, you don't want to use Tom, Dick, or Harry's little, I just invented an e-commerce plugin, even though there's a couple up and comers, something that has tens of millions or hundreds of millions of users and has tens of thousands of people developing on it seems like a better choice. And finally, the most important thing to me is that it's already built into, or it has, I should say, it already has built into it all these other cross capabilities with the other features that we're using. So it's just a nice way of sort of imagining you stacked Lego blocks or you stacked bricks. It's a nice way of having each thing do the feature that you need it to without it trying to be a framework. The greatest example would be when we look at something like an LMS like LearnDash. It has the ability to sell with Stripe. So do Fluent Forms. So does Fluent CRM. So does Fluent Booking. So do you can connect with many of the other plugins that if you used, as I'll tell you why you shouldn't, a membership plugin. There's lots of things that you can use to take the money. But if instead you just start with the notion of using WooCommerce as the transactional engine, everything else follows logically, because that taking the money, managing the subscriptions gives us a standard, a framework that everything else can be built around, so that when somebody gives you money or does a free transaction or a sales funnel, we're not trying to take two competing framework plugins and disconnect the things about them that are competing with the other one. We know we're just using this one thing and everything else will connect to it gracefully. I kind of, in my head, imagine, if you know Lego blocks, they've got those nice green pieces that are the base pieces that everything sticks to, you know, like looks like grass, or a gray one if it's concrete. All right, let's jump into it. I am going to show you from start to finish. And Sharon actually had some good questions. Not apologizing, but with Launch Kit, it's available for free in the repository. I've told everybody for 20 years, I continue to develop this and improve it and make the documentation. And I'm doing some things I'm going to show you about automating my documentation. But it's so simple to use that there's really no documentation here, and it can throw people. And I think it first threw Sharon for a loop, but then she got on board. So thank you, Sharon, for bearing with me. I have some basic documentation at the wplaunchkit.com site. In case you're interested, this is something that is going to be either further simplified and improved into what I'm calling these minute launch recipes. So one of the projects that I'm working on at the moment is this very thing, where instead of having a bunch of long form documentation, let me switch to this mode, by the way. Instead of going for long form documentation, we're going to have a situation where it's going to say, here's a framework of what everybody needs or wants to do. And when you click on any of the steps, it gives you this kind of recipe card level, because there doesn't need to be a voluminous amount of repetitive information when everything else in the details has already been documented online with the makers of the plugins or through something else I've done. So the notion for me is, think of like the old-fashioned recipe cards with a recipe card box, and grandma gave you a list of here's how to make her banana nut bread. Uncle Spence. Okay, so having said that, I'm going to do this from scratch to do my tips. And I want to just say that the 5 steps may or may not be obvious. First of all, let's get set up. So if you go to your website, any hosting will do, but I encourage you to take advantage of the fact that a WP Launchify built into the plan out of my pocket is a $30 value, $150 if you were using another server or host like WP Engine, which you should not, or $54 if you're using Cloudways, which is still a good idea, but I include this for free. $10 is a top end rocket.net hosting that if you don't want to use it for yourself, you can use it at least for a sandbox. And this full software bundle and the unlimited email, all those together make the $97 a huge value. Here I'm using a blank rocket.net site, and we'll talk about the packages, but let's just get set up manually so that I can go through the 5 steps. So what I would first do is I go to plugins, add new plugin, and everybody can get Launch Kit for free. And a lot of the value that it delivers has to do with the administrative tools that are built in, even if you don't subscribe for any of the software or the other consulting expertise for building your site out or helping me do you to do that. Now that it's installed, you just go to Launch Kit. Now here's what everybody should do. By the way, there's just 3 steps. This is the part where, again, Sharon, she's a longtime friend and client, very smart, runs her own agency, but this is where I think I just need to make it more clear. There's only these 3 steps, okay? Step 1, let's just turn on the administrative tools, that one of which it gives you is the hide all of the nonsense that comes above. When I've activated that, I then go to the top and I click hide notices. This gets rid of all of the junk, including all of the, you need to put your registration key in or the van is going to come and pick up your children. Notice there's a little red dot. That lets you know that there's something under the hood there, maybe for you to take a look at. For most of the time, you just leave this enabled. All right. The rest of these prevent the plugins when they're enabled from doing crazy stuff or smooth out the onboarding experience of everything. Sharon, I'm interested to know, what was the hang up then? Because I think you were doing it on your own hosting because you have the $47 a month. What was the ultimate hang up? Maybe it was the cache or some other plugin. Let us know, because this is the admin toolbar. And sometimes people have plugins or something that might affect the admin toolbar and might have just hidden this from being seen. Let us know. I would be curious to see. I did know that you were communicating with me and we got you squared away. Okay, next, you're going to use your WP Launchify account to log in, and you have unlimited use, whether you have the 47 a month to go or the full supported. Okay, so you're not sure. This is being good. We're going to follow our steps. Please pipe in and I'll share your comments if you find the place where something is different. Okay. All right. So with this, I'm just going to use a test account here. When you use your WP Launchify account, that means that my relationship with you extends out to allow you to just use all this stuff without having to bother knowing anything other than your own email and your own password. Hello? Why should you have to be bothered by copying and pasting 20 different keys from 20 different vendors when I'm going to be giving you the comprehensive concierge support anyway? All right. So now that I got this, let's talk about setting up the components. We can do a lot of components, but the ones we're going to really need here or want here are going to be the ones having to do with WooCommerce. So we can either turn on or install the plugins manually one by one, or I'm going to recommend, this is what I do. First of all, I always install the Cadence theme, because all of the teaching and training that I'm suggesting to you is, yes, you could use other themes. Why? When we have all of the components, everything else you need in Cadence, and Cadence is arguably one of the top 1, 2, or 3 classic Gutenberg themes plus blocks. And as a system, I'm suggesting that I've just thrown in with the idea, if you want to succeed with Lego blocks, just use Lego blocks. Don't keep fighting by trying to stick Tinker toys into your Lego blocks. There's no need. All of the themes do the same stuff these days. Just go with the system that everybody else is using here, and you'll get a multitude of benefits, including the ability to share, save, use templates, patterns, recipes, and so forth. All right. So I install Cadence theme. Next, what I do is I just install all of the plugins. Here's a concept. Listen up. In a modern site, in order to manage the updates through this interface, you can have your entire freezer filled with frozen stuff that you do not actually have activated. In other words, it doesn't do anything to slow down your site if you have 90 plugins in your actual plugin folder that aren't all activated. But when it comes to management, the ability for you to come and see using your LaunchKit plugin, oh, there's an update available, and it will tell you whether any of the specific plugins need to be updated. The ability to click this button and just go, instead of a la carte clicking and managing, will save you a fortune of time. So tip number 1, before I even get started, is the LaunchKit keeps your freezer filled with all the ingredients you'll ever need. And as long as you haven't activated them, they will not bother anything. Okay. I would like to just install Prime Mover here because I may show you this package idea. Prime Mover, when enabled, allows me to deliver to you these pre-made, ready-to-go packages. There'll be an entire library of these that are essentially starting points for various businesses, where all of the features are enabled and set up and have the themes and the styling. You can do the same thing by using the starter templates or using the patterns or using the recipes. But this is just like a starting point where it's not just pretty, but it actually is a full functional proven business. Just click the button, add them into your library, or you can create and save your own and upload them from your own URL. And when you do, they're available as a restoration starting point. Think of these like snapshots. You can also use the snapshot capability of Prime Mover to make your own packages before you experiment or play or work on one of your client's sites. Today, we're going to do this manually because I want you to see how all of this works. Finally, we're going to go ahead and decide how to turn on plugins. Now, you can use the traditional plugin manager, of course. But in LaunchKit, I've also started to develop an optimized manager that's available here that lets me create recipes of stuff. And this is a super time saver because even if the site is already configured and has clients and everything else, I feel like there's a better way to manage plugins. For example, I could, if I want, just choose a la carte which things I want to turn on, right? Like, so let's say I know I want to turn on launch flows and launch flows customer dashboards and product fixes, product images. Okay. And I know I want to turn on WooCommerce subscriptions and so forth. So one of the things that I can do here is just hold the shift key down, and I'm just going to get all the WooCommerce. So what I've done is I've selected manually. This is one way of doing it. And I'm going to make a recipe that I save. Launch flows and WooCommerce. Okay. And I'm going to download that recipe. Why is this useful? This is a text file that for this site or any site in the future, all I have to do is choose that file. And when I do, it will just propagate this dashboard area where I could say, activate all of those. And it does. And it refreshes the page and tells me they're active. And then I'll see the status is updated as well when those things have been activated. And so the idea is to save yourself a ton of time. You can activate a bunch of things all at once. This is a great way to save a lot of hassle. Let's do the traditional way though, because a lot of you guys might still feel comfortable with that. If we look over here, we'll see that the stuff I just activated is already activated. But let's make sure that if there's anything else we want to turn on. One of the things that I think we're going to want to turn on is going to be Fluent CRM, even though I'm not going to get into that too much right now. And you're going to want to turn on Fluent Forms, Fluent CRM Forms, Pro add-on. We don't need the signature of the PDF right now. Fluent SMTP, we're not going to talk about that too much, but I'll just turn it on anyway. And I think that's it. I think that's enough for now, because if, let's turn on all the Cadence Plex Pro stuff. So if I want to show you something. Okay, so I basically turn on Cadence, the Fluent stuff, and WooCommerce. There's lots of other things I could do with this. That's how I started out when I used one of those packages. But the reason that I'm doing it this way is I just want to show you the basics of the WooCommerce stuff. All right. But this is typically the stack that I would use. Now, as I started out today talking about, the idea is we're going to leverage WooCommerce for a lot of the things that we normally need to do. Let's start with number one, guest versus public checkout. When we have WooCommerce set up, or I should say when we have it enabled, there's one other thing that I'm going to add, admin menu editor Pro. I am 57, I'll be 58. I cannot stand it when the order of the admin dashboard is not alphabetical. So what I do is use menu editor Pro, and I go here and I simply order A to Z. And what I do is I drag the little separator that's already there up, and I put the dashboard above, I put Launch Kit above, I put the Fluent CRM above, because I know I use those all the time, and I can get rid of the other stuff. And when I do this, watch what happens on the left side. This organizes it in a way that just is more logical for my brain. So I always have the stuff I need really handy. Okay. So for WooCommerce, now that I know it's W, let's go to settings. What's the difference between guest checkout and not? Guest checkout means that you are losing all the benefits of having this setup, because it's like having a store where in the old days, we used to have a store where the people who own the store would put a fishbowl on the counter, and it said, put your business card in here and have a chance to win XYZ this week. Why did they do it? They did it because by asking the people to identify themselves with real information, they knew who came into their store, and they could send them a postcard or a piece of mail or a coupon or something so as to build a relationship. Well, guess what? If you're not doing the same thing by asking everybody to use an email to register and log in, you are missing the two key opportunities as to why this whole thing works so well. Number one, you're missing the opportunity for abandoned cart and knowing who came by. And number two, you're not tracking in a nice way the person's journey through your stack of stuff that you offer them to click or view or buy or subscribe to. And by giving them the chance to track their journey with your CRM and tags, you give them a better experience. They get a better experience that's, useful to their purposes, but you get the reciprocal benefit of, like, I don't waste your time. You don't waste my time. If you like yellow, I only show you yellow stuff. If you like chocolate, I show you chocolate. If you don't like peanuts, no peanuts will appear on this website. Okay. So let's go into the setups. You need to go to accounts and privacy. And this is a really, really, really easy setup. WooCommerce should be set up this way on all websites. And I can say that with confidence. Uncheck the first box, check the second. We want to allow customers to log into an existing account during checkout. We want to reverse this. Allow customers to create an account during checkout. Allow customers to create an account? No. So we want them only to be able to create an account when they're checking out, but we want them to log in if they have an existing account. We do not want them to just manually create an account. We want that to be a very controlled process. And in doing so, that means that the My Account page, as you'll see, turns into a very elegant, when you're logged out, it's a login. If you forgot your password, it provides forgot password. But once you are logged in, it provides that really beautiful, elegant My Account dashboard that we can customize with the Customer Dashboards plugin, drag and drop. All right. When creating an account, generate an account username based on their name, surname, or email. This is huge because when somebody registers for free by buying a product and gets logged in, we don't want them to fuss around with trying to invent a password or save it or their password managers. We need them to click a button and get in there, start buying stuff, start doing stuff, start consuming stuff. And if we do it this way, WooCommerce will automatically send them an email that says, you've got an account over here. Yes, I gave you a temporary password, but at any time, as I'll show you in a second, you can get right back in here and you can just set that to whatever you want. But after we've done our business. Okay. And then here's this, when creating an account, send the new user a link, what I was just talking about, to set their password. So this formula here, make a note of it. This is the setup you want under accounts and privacy. If you live in the United States, get rid of the second paragraph. It's nonsense. You do not need any more distractions on the checkout page. I'm an attorney. I can speak for United States law and I can speak international law. Some countries require way more stuff outside the United States, especially the EU. In the United States, you do not need that to be on the checkout page, so just get rid of it. It's up to you whether on the registration page you want to show that. I don't think you do. I just put a little link in the footer that says terms and conditions. That's enough. If you feel otherwise, leave it in there. Save changes. Now, let's talk about that setup with how somebody gets to their account and what information is taken. Launch Flows provides a couple bonuses here. So while I'm at this, I'm going to go over to Launch Flows, and Launch Flows is what allows for sales funnel behavior out of WooCommerce. If we go down here to Launch Flows, one of the settings is to make the email of the person their username. And I built this in specifically after tens of thousands of clients because this is the best and, in my opinion, the only way to validate whomever it was that signed up as a user, so that in the future, when they change their credentials 80 billion times, everything you need to know about this person is linked to an actual validated email. So if you allow them to make up their own usernames, it's like Spen1234 or Spency or Evil Genius or whatever. And then 10 years from now, you're like, who the hell is that person? Whereas if it signed up as Spencer at SpencerForeman.com, you're like, oh, that's Spencer Foreman. Okay. So I suggest use this option here. Use email for username. There are other things that you can set up in Launch Flows that are important. First of all, and we'll get to them, but this is about WooCommerce. With WooCommerce out of the box, you can't customize the thank you page. With Launch Flows, you can. So I always create a new page called thank you. Here's an example of where Cadence Patterns comes in, folks. Watch carefully. Thank you. Just make it a standard thank you page. Now, you can set it up any way you want as far as the style with Cadence. I typically disable this. You can make it a normal layout or not. Now, here's where the patterns come in neat. You could, if you want it, let's just save this. You could, if you want, just make this from scratch and then just put in the blank Launch Flows thank you block, which you type thank you, and it will put in the, with whatever parameters you want, the thank you contents of what their last order was and the details. But what I do is I just use the free patterns launch flows, and I just type thank you, and I just grab the pattern. I've used this on thousands of sites already because it's just like really basic. So I grab that, I paste it in place, and we're good to go. And you can change it any way you want, but like out of the, like change the image to something else. Out of the box, you're done. Like, why make it any harder? And this is very agnostic to whatever you're doing. You can change the look and feel as you wish. But here's the important part. When we're setting up the site, let's close these windows. Now I can go back to launch flows, and I can get into my setting, which is to make the default thank you page. I go to the bottom, set global thank you page in WooCommerce. So it's under general. Sorry, it's actually general. And it's launch flows thank you page. Let's choose thank you as the page and save. Okay. So now what I've got for point 1, we want a registered and logged in client who, when they buy, is not a guest. This will automatically connect to all of the Fluent CRM stuff. So I'm not going to go into that now, but I've done in other videos. When somebody purchases, we can register them, log them in. They're added to the main CRM list. They are given a tag. You know what? I'll take 2 seconds to show you how to do this. So go to Fluent CRM. Might as well. We're here. Let's enjoy the time together. And the basic setup would be my biz. You can do your logo, your address, etc. Let's make a new list. I say make one list with Fluent for each business. If your customers work across all of your businesses, have one list, everybody in the same room. If they are distinctive people, like they never should mix, then maybe it's a good idea to have other lists, because really we should be using tags. So example tag 1, example tag 2. I talk about this in other situations when setting up. The tags should be semantical. Purchased, product 1. Subscribed, product 2. Submitted, form number 1. They should be action and subject of the action. And they should be less than 3 words if you can help it. And let me make it down here. Okay, so let's just use 2 tags for now. Now, finally, here's where we set up the basics. Let's just, we'll complete this installation. We want to make it so that when somebody is registered and logged in with WooCommerce when buying a product, that they're going to be added to the CRM. And this is really pretty simple as well. What we do here is go over to settings, general settings, and enable sync between WordPress data and Fluent CRM. I do not delete the CRM contacts if I delete the user. I want to keep them in the CRM even if they stop being a user. We allow create a new contact on the main list when user registers in WordPress. That's what's going to do it directly when they sign up through WooCommerce. I don't need to give them a tag here because I'll give them the tags when they buy a specific product, like Spence bought product 1. I'm not going to do double opt-in, any of that stuff. This is interesting. Automatically fill WooCommerce checkout field value with the current contact. I enable that because that's very useful, because it allows somebody who's a returning customer, if they're in the CRM, as soon as their email is in the system, as soon as there's a cookie set, they go to that form, it fills it in with them, which is super awesome for everybody. All right. So that by itself is typically enough. If you are using WP Fusion, as you should, let's enable that. I guess we'll just add that here. We can also connect that into the whole system. So we'll have a few other options. And it may come up in my next step when I talk about sales funnels. So let's just turn on WP Fusion. And this is the kind of stuff that it's really simple to set up, but I avoid the need to set this up by using those packages. If I use Launch Kit package 1, all this stuff is just set up, literally, and it saves you a ton of time. So I'd encourage you to check that out. If we go over here to settings, WP Fusion, we'll be able to enable Fluent CRM as the CRM, really simple. So we're going to choose Fluent CRM. This site, we're not using the remote hub, and we connect. You do not need the license key because you are updating and being supported by me directly here. But we do want to say the list when somebody joins, and the default list is main list, and that we're also, creating a new user when they register in WordPress. Okay, we're good to go. So now what we've got is, on our step 1 of the setup tips, We've got everybody who purchases or buys something for free is going to get registered and logged in. And I've shown this in other videos, so I won't go through this again. But this is the way that you have your fishbowl that you never miss a customer. So even for a free registration product, that is going to be a person who's going to be in your CRM from the moment you meet them, which allows us to do an infinite number of beneficial things for following up. Number 2, powerful sales funnel steps with upsells. Let's make a product, kids, using the product capabilities. And this is where I can also show you, we'll do like rockstar logins today. So let's make a free product, and we're going to use launch flows for this as well. We'll call it example product. This could be a subscription product or it could be an event, all the various things. We're just going to do a simple product because it's essentially the same. Virtual and downloadable means that there won't be any need for it to be held because it's not going to be shipped. So it'll check out immediately. Let's just say it's $100. Now, if we're selling other things like LearnDash courses, we would use some of the enrollment tools. This is just to do a product itself. I'm going to go to launch flows and say, where does somebody go next? Now, this is the part to pay attention to. Launch flows makes one product page into a complete sales page, into a complete sales tool and engine. If I wanted to, I could have a link to this product going right to checkout, and I can put it in a Canva sales page or a YouTube video or anything. But even if I use this page itself, as soon as that link is used, where do I want the person to go? Almost all the time, I want them to go to checkout, which is the default page of WooCommerce. What if instead I wanted to take them on a journey? So instead of going right to the checkout, I wanted to take them to a second product, something that they could add to what they're buying or replace what they've already thought they were going to buy. So the difference, let me just do a little hand gesture here. The difference between an upsell and an order bump. An order bump is where you take what they've got and you say, oh, add this on it as well. You're buying the camera. Why not get a bunch of film for the camera? Increases the order, bumps up the order. An upsell is where you're buying the regular camera. Why not get the deluxe camera? The deluxe camera package plus a vacation. Now, technically, they're kind of resulting in the same thing, but the difference is you're in an upsell, you're getting rid of the SKU of the first product and replacing it with another bundle or another product SKU. It's a minor difference. The aesthetics of how you do it are almost the same anyway, but we can do this very easily. So in this case, I'll show it in a second. If we wanted to, instead of the checkout page, we could take somebody to an interstitial page, a page that's an offer to, do you want this or that? We can also do this on the checkout page itself. So I can do it on the checkout page for now. So this is what happens when somebody adds this product to the cart. Where do they go after they're done paying? That's the other cool thing when using launch flows in the sales page. I could take them to the thank you page and we can have a dynamic sales offer at the thank you page. But what typically could happen is I could take them somewhere before the thank you page, after the checkout, but before the thank you. So instead of just choosing that thank you page, like that we just created a moment ago, I could make another page, which is a post-checkout offer page. So you can kind of see, you can connect each product to go on its own journey. I'm going to, in this case, clean up this page so it doesn't have any of the normal WooCommerce junk on it, even though I'm using the default theme. That's the bookmarks, that's the related products, that's the other weird layout stuff. This is just going to focus on the product itself. And in doing so, it's going to make it much easier. I also know that I only want to sell one of these. So if I go to inventory, I say, I only want to limit this to one so that I don't have a quantity selector. I don't need to choose how many of these I want to sell. Now, finally, I need an image. Now, what we do offer you in the launch kit is the ability to have remote images if you want. So instead of using the image here, I could have a link to an image in my bunny.net. But for this, let's just set a local product image, and I'll do something off of Pexels just for fun. I think we were talking about cameras, so I'll use this camera. Okay. Now I've got a product, and I've got the basis for what will be a possible sales funnel with an upsell. Here's what I was talking about with regard to how simple this is. I want to add a tag when somebody buys this. So you'll notice here in the setup of the product, WP Fusion, I can apply a tag when somebody buys this. Let's add example tag 1. All right. So now I'm fully set up, and we can look at the sales page here before we edit it. And we can also use the product direct to checkout link. Let's first look at the sales page itself. It's just super simple, right to the point. I haven't customized anything. If we add it to the cart, they will be taken right to checkout. Let's make sure that checkout page has the layout we want with launch flows. So let's go to our pages and let's edit the checkout page. We want to edit this because launch flows gives you a dynamic way to set up and customize this. We do not want to use this experimental WooCommerce checkout block. It is a bit of a hot mess right now. So we get rid of all of the blocks on checkout and instead go to the page setup and just enable add a checkout to this post. Done. That's it. We can further customize it if we want by putting in the launch flows blocks. And we just go here to patterns, launch flows, and let's do a single column layout, one column checkout. The advantage of doing this is that these actually work and they work properly and they've been tested, whereas the other stuff from WooCommerce is really experimental. I'm going to go with a normal layout, boxed, and this should give us a nice look and feel where if we need to, we can customize this further in a minute by adding an upsell or something, order bump. Okay. So we've got a really nice layout. What I'm going to actually do here, though, is I'm going to go with a narrow layout. And we'll put the header back in so we at least see that it's a checkout page. Okay. We got the basics here. Notice, by the way, all this extra junk about country, street, region, and stuff. If you do not like that because you're selling a virtual product, let's make it easier. So the way we do that is I go over to our installed plugins, which we just put in from LaunchKit. We're going to enable the Checkout Manager plugin. So it's WooCommerce Checkout Manager. Oh, it's already enabled. So let's just go to the settings and let's clean that up. When we're in a virtual product, we don't need the shipping information. So we go here to, let's first of all remove order notes. Yes, we don't need to see the notes. And let's then go to billing. And when we go to billing, we're going to get rid of all of the fields from displaying by saying disabled for anything other than email, which I'm going to put at the top so that it's the first thing somebody gives me, and I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to slide these little boxes, everything other than first name, last name, and email. I just do not need on a virtual order. Don't need it. I'll get that from people later if I need it. And I can get them from people if I need it by just asking for shipping info rather than billing info. So make sure you save this. And once it's all saved, now when we go to our checkout page, it's going to be nice and clean. Look at that. Much, much more elegant and easy. And we can customize this place order button if we want. It's not necessary, but if we wanted to, we can go over here to the page settings and it says launch flows button text. You know, you say buy now or whatever you need. And that should replace the default text of the button. There's also a way to replace the button entirely. Okay, so super easy. Now let's try this. So we've got our product. Let's close a couple windows. We've got our product here. Let's add it to cart. It will go right to the checkout and be in there ready to buy. Notice there's no thumbnails. Let's turn on the thumbnails with our launch flows options as well. So if we go to launch flows, we've got the ability here to enable the product removal link, enable the quantity, enable the thumbnail. Just you can turn on these options here so that we can see the extra details about the product, which I think is helpful for most people. There we go. So now if they want, they can remove it. They can see the thumbnail and so forth. This by itself offers us an ability for doing what's called an order bump. How? We need to make a second product and we're going to put that right on the checkout page. So let's go to our products. And I know I'm going fast, but this is like stuff I've covered a million times. So I want to show you how fast and easy it can be to be set up without even a preconceived package. Let's just duplicate this product and we'll call this second product the bump product. Bump offer product. And this is another $50. And let's just change the image. So replace with something else from Pexels. Maybe it's these headsets or something. And let's go over here, because what we want to do is we want to change the tag to, we're going to give example tag 2. So if somebody buys this, they get example tag 2. Now, we just need to know, if we want to use the built-in capability of launch flows, we just need to know the ID of this product. And that's really easy to find. The easiest way is to just go into the launch flows direct checkout link, and the very last number, it's product ID 21. Okay. So let's go to our checkout page. We edit it, and let's put the bump right at the top, like the good old fashioned Billy Mays would do. But wait, there's more. Okay. So here's how I do it. Add before. I like to use the row from Cadence because it gives me some control over style. Then I'm going to put in the bump, order bump from launch flows. And I'm going to put in 21. That's the product ID. And I can show the image, the title, the price, the style. I'm going to make it, instead of round, I'm going to call it square because I want it to be a checkbox instead of a radio button. And short description if I want, or yes or no, it doesn't really matter. Now, let's make that box really cool, very dramatic. How do we do that? We go here to row and we say style, and let's do border settings, and let's make 5 pixels dashed red, just like the good old days. Okay. And let's also make sure that we've got some padding in there. So for that, we're going to go ahead and do our padding. It's already got some good padding, just so it sets it off. And then I'm going to put something above this, which is just some text. So add before heading. But wait, there's more. Add this bump product. And you can change whatever style you use on the font sizes to suit your taste. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Because now what I've done is I've created an instant order bump on the checkout, and I haven't done any of the conditional stuff, but like, if somebody checks this box, watch what happens. Ta-da, it adds it into the cart. If they uncheck it or use this thing, it takes it out. Couldn't be easier. Let's wrap this one up of number 2 by taking the product itself. Let's go to the product. And remember I said you can use this link anywhere. If we were to go to the first product here and grab that first product, we could use that in our social media and our marketing emails, anywhere, right? So let's go product, direct checkout link. Let's go. Remember I said I can do this log out thing. So let's do it. Let's do a real transaction. I'm going to log out of me. Let's say I made a cool YouTube video, said buy my product, or I posted on Twitter or social media. This direct to cart button is going to send that product into the checkout ready to buy, show the person the bump where if they want it, they can add it to it. Then the person can buy. Let's do some rock star stuff, right? Let's do, I don't know. No, let's do Billy Mays. We're doing sales guys at sales.com. Billy Mays, the late Billy Mays. He buys now. What's going to happen? He's going to buy the product. Oh, we forgot the most important part. I didn't enable Stripe. I'm going to have to enable that in order for this to work. And I will do that. So let's go back in. But I need to have that enabled for the checkout to happen, or I need to at least do COD. So let's do a COD. So let me log back in, and I'll set that up really, really quick so that we can finish our Billy Mays order. So let me go here. I never work with the net. Everybody knows that. Now, normally I set up the payment gateway as Stripe, but today, just to make this fast, I'm going to go to WooCommerce settings, payments, and I'm just going to set up COD because it's available right there. Okay, so cash on delivery, and I'll just put that to the top so at least the checkout can happen. And then we're going to go back to Billy Mays. Closing a couple windows. All right, let's log out and try it again. Okay, products in, bumps on. Billy Mays is still in there because he's cookied in. Pay with cash on delivery. Buy now. If all goes well, ta-da, Billy's taken to that thank you page. It shows him what he bought. He can go to his dashboard and he sees everything that is important to him about what he bought and when he bought it and how he paid and so forth. Let's log back in and see what happens on the back end, because this is important. I successfully was able to offer the main product anywhere and an upsell, in this case, an order bump, to the very same person, which is awesome. Let's log out as Billy. Okay, log back in as the administrator. Let's take a look at Fluent CRM, where we should see what happened. And here's Billy Mays, and look at the details we get. We get all of his information that's relevant. He's now a customer. And so in this case, I would change him to contact type of customer. We've also got his purchase history. He bought this product. The reason that he, by the way, the reason that he wasn't changed automatically to customer was because I paid COD. So the order is actually not done as far as them being a customer until that payment is registered as being in hand. But it does show all the other information, right? So we see when he bought his first stuff and his ROI, etc. Let's go on to the third thing, which is using the CRM instead of a membership plugin. So now that I've got Fluent CRM, why is this important? Notice Billy is on my main list. Notice that I've got two tags, example 1 and example 2, which represented product 1 and product 2. I can do a number of things now for Billy because I know who he is and which tags he has. On the website, I can use these tags to control access to things. For example, if I wanted to, I could show different things to Billy than anybody else. Starting with, if I added a new page, I could make the page visible or not visible based upon him having a tag. Here's how that goes. I don't need a membership plugin for this. I go down WP Fusion, users must be logged in to view this page, and I say, you need to have example tag 1 in order to see anything on this page. Second way, I can use a block inside, and either with WP Fusion or Fluent, let's do Fluent, I can make a container that only shows stuff based on the condition of having a tag or not. This stuff requires you to have a tag you bought or got with the CRM and the product. Here's how it works. When you click on conditional section, only show this if they are in the tag of example 1. Amazing. Number 2, if I do the same thing with the WP Fusion tag, it's a similar thing. It just has a little different style. You'll notice that there's going to be 2 sections to this. There's going to be the inner and the outer. Here, this top one is, this is stuff with the tag, and then this is stuff without. And you could, by the way, do things like a YouTube video or anything you want in there. But the same thing with the condition. You need to go and say, what's the condition under WP Fusion for this to work? And you choose from the tags. You need example tag 1 for the stuff to display and the other stuff not. So super crazy powerful. We take the money, we register and log in the person, we give them the password, we give them to the CRM, we can follow up, as I'm going to talk about with an automation, and then we use the tags for changing the look and feel of the site or the display of content. And this applies to everything, including the navigation. So let me show you, for example, like if you want to have different navigation menu items, those can be conditionally displayed based upon having the same tags. If we go to appearance menus, when we add, let's make our primary menu. When we add stuff to this, WP Fusion allows us to conditionally display items based upon the same tags that we were just talking about. So let's say if I put the sample page on there, this menu item now has controls in it with WP Fusion. Who can see this? Only logged in users, and they need to have example tag 2 or something like that. Ta-da! Navigation conditioning control. I can do this with banners, with CSS or styling stuff, anything I want. So the third point is using the CRM instead of the membership plugin, powerful. But even more, what if we wanted to control what somebody could see based upon what was in the cart? Like literally not what they bought already, but what was still in the cart. Let's go back to our page that we were just working on, and we'll use the conditional blocks. And this is another example of how you can use the CRM and conditions in combination. So we've got all these conditions about stuff based upon tags, but we can also mix and match this with conditional blocks. So let's do a third thing here. Remember, we were just talking about like an order bump, right? So what if we had a page and we put a bump on it, but we don't want to show this unless a certain product is in the cart. So let's mix these all together. The bump was for product 21, but we don't want to show this unless some other product is in the cart, right? And let's check the ID of that other product, by the way. So let's go to WP admin. I don't know what the other product ID was, the primary product. I think it was 20 probably, but let's see. So we want to make sure that it's product 16. So here's how we do this. We have the order bump itself. We're going to go ahead and put this inside of a box. I like to put things inside of a box because it's very neat. We also want to make sure that we've got the plugin enabled for conditional block display. There's two plugins that we have in the kit, but block visibility is really good. And then Conditional Blocks Pro offers a little variation. So I'll enable both of those, and you can play with whichever one you want to, and I'll show you both here. Okay, so let's just temporarily publish this page so that those blocks will show up, and then I'll refresh this. And let's make the condition of seeing this bump based on whether something's in the cart or the cart value is whatever. So I'm going to add my wrapper, and I'm going to now put that bump inside of the wrapper. I could do the whole gimmick with the border as I just did. But right now what I'm doing is let's take that row layout that holds this, just so we see it a little better. We'll give it like a background color. Okay. And now what we're going to do is go visibility conditions. This is the block visibility. Actually, this is the conditional blocks. So here's the condition. Go down here to cart products, cart value, customer total spent, any of these features will work, but we're talking about like cart products. So let's make it that we need to look for example, product 1, 16 is the ID. This must be in the cart in order for this stuff to be visible. That's the rule I've made. If it's not, the order bump doesn't show. So this is a cool example of how we can use the visibility in combination with what somebody else has bought, all on the same page. This is dynamic, whereas the tags are a little more static. I could do the same kind of thing, by the way, if I use under, I think it's advanced. We have visibility is a different way of doing a similar thing. So here we can do WooCommerce, and the rule is show the block if cart contents contains a product, and the product, I like this interface better. So honestly, I would say block visibility's got it all covered, at least one of the selected products, and we can do them by name here. Same idea. Okay. Hopefully you guys got that. Registering, logging in subscribers after purchase. I've already done that one. So we've now got the situation as I showed you. We just had Billy Mays registered and logged in. He got everything he needed. But one of the cool things is that we have the email that would have been sent that would have said to Billy Mays, hey, go set your password. And let me show you what they will get. When we log out, the My Account page serves two purposes. Okay, watch what happens on the My Account page. This is why WooCommerce leverages so many things. See this link, lost your password? And this login page can be further customized with the tools that we provide inside of a Lunch Kit. But lost your password is universal. Notice the URL is just the one My Account page. So the one My Account page can serve in the primary menu as the way to log in and the way to get to all your stuff. And it could be the place people go to find their lost password. Everything in one place. Think of it like going to Costco. Costco is an amazing place, but you go through one door. There's not 5 entrances or 6. There's one door. Even Home Depot has 5 doors. The Costco, like WooCommerce, has one door. It's the My Account page. And we can customize that as I'll show you when they're logged in. But when they're logged out, this lost password, likewise, is a universal link. So watch. If I want to show it to you here, you'll see it's My Account /lost password. So you can automate that and put that into your emails and make it more personal in addition to whatever's default. Let me show you how you do that. If we log back in, first of all, the standard email that people get can be customized inside of WooCommerce settings, which makes it super easy for you to just quickly tweak it. Go to settings, email, and then you can see the new account. So new account email here, just click on it and you can edit the basics of what it says, right? Now, if you really want to go detailed, you can copy the template or use another plugin like the Cadence email customizer, but this is fine. You could just edit the basics of this and add a little extra content here if you felt it was useful. But if you wanted to view it, you can see what's inside of it here and you can see the wording. It's a little code-based, but there's tools that you can add to preview this. It really just says, click here to set your new password, and it sends them to that link. Now, what if you wanted to do that with your CRM instead? Super duper easy. You go to Fluent CRM, and the automation would be triggered based on like what we just did. You bought a product or you became a new account. We're going to send a reminder email in your voice and your brand, right? So post-registration email. Okay, what's the trigger? Well, it's either that they got a tag from buying the product, or they just got added to the list, or WooCommerce, something happened. There's all these different ways we could trigger it, but the most logical to me would be when they first actually get the tag of a product. That's very definitive. So in this case, we'd say when a tag is applied, and we'd say which tag, and let's say it's example 1, and we don't want to restart this multiple times. This is only for the first time they do it. And now we just create an email, right? And so here we go. We say send a custom email, and don't forget to set your new password. You say new password reminder. So simple. Spell it right. Reminder. And then you just go, I'm going to do the personal part. Hey, thanks for joining. Click here to set your password if you haven't already. Thanks, Spence. Now, I always use the personal template tags here where I can click the little blue thing, get the first name of the person, and I'll say something like, hey, contact first name, it's Spence. And remember we said, click here to set your password, right? So the My Account password, this lost password link, is always the same for your site. So you can just go ahead and build it into this link this way. Or you can do a button or click the button and just put button. See how fast I'm cruising through all this? This is not hard. This is easy because all of the tools are right inside of here. And I'm using WooCommerce's capability mixed together with the CRM, and I'm done. Easy peasy, cheesy measy. Okay. Finally, customer dashboards to consolidate your content. Now, I had previously been using a plugin from Yith that allowed you to customize this My Account area. Let's refresh this and see what we can do out of the box. First of all, Cadence lets me change the general layout from the column perspective. So for that, I go to Appearance, Customize, and under the WooCommerce, I can make the column on the left side because I'm reading in English from left to right. That makes more sense. So WooCommerce, My Account layout. Let's first of all, navigation on the left. Show username and avatar. Yes. Let's publish. So right off the bat, that's going to clean this up that way. But I want to do all kinds of cool stuff here. Why can't I just drag and drop it around like I can with launch flows? Well, now you can. Here's how we do it. Okay. So let's close a couple of these pages. Let's edit this page now in a new tab. We're going to go over to, well, we can do it one of two ways. Let's do it inside, but we've also got patterns.launchflows, and we've got My Account. Maybe, oh, custom My Account dashboard. So this is one way of doing it. You can go grab that, but the easier way of doing it is just inside. So here's the page on the site itself. Let's open up the list view. Let's delete this. and click the pattern button. I've included inside of this, when you're using the Customer Dashboards plugin, ready-made pattern. It's under LF My Account, and you have a choice here of the example My Account or basic My Account blocks, whichever one floats your boat. Let's use the more advanced one that has a couple other gimmicks in it. Now, what does this let me see? I've customized the position of all the various components that otherwise were spitting out, and I have the ability to change the order of them, change the links, change custom layouts. I can do custom designs. I can do all kinds of cool stuff. But since this is a ready to go model, it's a great way for anybody to just get started as easily as that. And now you have the ability to show whatever dashboard stuff you want, even stuff like tabs. Now, if you want to know more about how this works, I have a lot of videos about this, and I also have the WPLaunchify.com shop. I think it's under customer dashboards, but let's just say, hold on, right here. And you can learn more here, view the documentation page of what it does. But it's really, really simple. All it is doing is it's allowing us to move stuff around and change the layout. If I'm not happy, for example, with the order of, I don't know, I want the downloads tab to be above the dashboard tab, right? Okay, take the downloads tab and move it above the dashboard tab. Click save. If I want to change the color of that, I could just use the Cadence block styling now, instead of having to worry about like using some extra plugin from Yith or somebody else. Now the downloads is above, right? I can do that same gimmick we just were doing before, where I say, add before row. I love this because this is my container method, and I can put this inside of here, and then I can do the whole thing I was just talking about, where let's just make the background gray and let's put a border around it. 5 pixels dashed. I'm not going to make it ridiculous. We'll do dotted. So again, this is a ridiculous design. You would never do that. But when I refresh the page, like now I get back design control over what I'm doing. And it's just a super easy thing. All right. I'm a minute over, but I feel really good about today. I hope, okay, bye, Sharon. I hope everybody got some value out of today. I really flew through a lot of stuff, but the point and the takeaway is LaunchKit provides a unified management system, all the software, all the documentation for WordPress as a service with me as your concierge for the low, low price of $47 a month or $97 a month, depending on if you want full service or a DIY model. Either way, I've got your front and your back covered. And we've got all the mechanics and the patterns and the software for you to have the business solution you need, plus the personal support and consultation a la carte if you need it. Because a lot of times what happens is folks are just going to have questions. And whether you want to ask me email questions or you want to have a live Zoom call with documentation, this is the relationship type of business I built over 20 years as somebody who's foundational in WordPress. I want to also bring up a point which is asked of me. If you were to go over to the top of WP Launchify and look at my latest content, you will see an excerpt of all the stuff that I've been doing. I did a couple cool videos this week. No one is selling WordPress software. That talks about open source in general. Dump Your CRM was last week's amazing, amazing content about the depth of where you can go with your CRM. But I did the WP Tonic show with Jason Cohn and a few other well-known experts in WordPress about some of the topics of the day. And then finally, this video I made showed Spence replacing himself with AI, and I am super chuffed about what this is going to be. I've been running experiments all night, and I really can't wait to share with you what this means in terms of how it can help you integrate your AI tools that are now available into a more logical business purpose to create better relationships between yourself and other human beings. All right, that's it. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I look forward to surprising you with more amazing stuff. If you've not joined me at WP Launchify, please do. You have zero risk. Just go on over here at WPLaunchify.com, pricing. Click on LaunchKit 97 a month, maybe an hour of hands-on support, or if you want the software only, take the LaunchKit to go. Either way, I've got your back. I got your front. We're going to have a great time. I'll see you on the next live office hours. See you then.